just the impact of, you know, your fitness journey on your professional life, right? We talked a lot about your professional life and how it got you towards adding the fitness piece. But like, what's been the impact? I'm sure there's probably been confidence building and things like that for you that you've gotten from fitness to your professional life. What else would you say?
Exactly that, man. If I am allowed to say the confidence and sort of explain why, I
Yep.
think that bodybuilding is something that, again, a small population of people do. And it's so funny, man. I thought about this when I was, talking to some younger guys that I mentor at work who are, undergraduate students. And I was saying that, I didn't recognize until now that I do things that small percentages of people do, and that I'm very, proud about, or that are very respectful. And so, it took me a long time to be able to, sort of pat myself on the back about these things. But I feel like I
Mm-hmm.
went to, like the best high school in Detroit, Cass Tech, Cass Technical High School. It's where all of our, city leaders, celebrities, and things like that have gone. Diana
Oh,
Ross, Kenya Moore,
nice.
Kwame Kilpatrick, like lots of people that you've heard of. Big Sean, you know what I'm saying? Like all those different. I mean, he's way younger than me, obviously, but the other people are way older than me. But nonetheless, is what I'm trying to say is
They went
that
after.
the school produces,
Yeah.
lots of people who go on to do well. But then, I went to University of Michigan again. While I was at Michigan, I had no clue that Michigan was a top school at all. I just knew it was what was normal, for me. I didn't know when I got outside of or graduated that people would look at it the way they do, but then I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. You know what I mean? Like Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity is the first, Black intercollegiate fraternity, and so for it to be like the
Mm.
first, for it to be well regarded. And I know that people will, joke and say things like, oh, well, this fraternity is that. But the reality is, like, it is the first, and you have to give it some props, even if you feel like it ain't the best, whatever, but it is the first. And so, I have a PhD. So few people have that. Bodybuilding, so few people have that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said to myself, like, I really have to embrace that and not let it make me, feel like I'm better than other people, but embrace it and use it for the good of others. And so that
Mm.
is really what I am. That's really what I'm trying to do. And so the bodybuilding, you are wearing very few clothes, man. I mean, like I am not normally walking around, you know what I'm saying, like with,
Yeah.
like with everything showing. But it takes confidence to be able to do that. You know what I mean? To be able to show people
Yeah.
these are my abs. In the same way, it takes confidence to be able to tell people I have a PhD, or I went to Michigan, or I went to, dot, dot, dot. And so it's given me the ability to show myself off without feeling like that's a dirty thing.
Mm. I mean, wow, that tying it in that way is intense, because I think something that most people can relate to, not if not everybody. Now I know nudists aside, but most people can relate to is being naked, or mostly naked, is pretty vulnerable for them, and so connecting how that feels and being able to overcome that to what you feel that most people don't feel, but sometimes they can see it as intimidating to even speak about or hear, or whatever the case is. Comparing it, putting the two together, that makes a lot of sense, right?
And
Wow.
it
And
also
that's
is, yeah, it's seen as a dirty thing when Black males. I remember my brother told me this. My brother, and I wish that you had the opportunity to meet him, man, but he is very prolific in his own right. But we were having a conversation, and
mm-hmm.
he was saying this is a time when, Kwame Kilpatrick, former mayor of Detroit, when he was saying that people want to see Kwame Kilpatrick, like hang his head low and, like think poorly of himself, and to, like bow down to others. Right or wrong, whatever he did, he doesn't owe humility or false humility, whatever you want to call it, to people. He doesn't owe people to let you see him vulnerable, crying and doing all that or whatever. Maybe he owes that to, his ex-wife when they were married, but he doesn't owe that to the public for us to see him at his weakest point. And I was thinking to myself, that's so interesting, because I do think that a lot of times as Black males and as Black people, we are taught that we're supposed to, hang our head, that we're not supposed to. And a lot of times we're taught this in the Black community, but I think it's a result from enslavement being taught, like, you're not supposed to, excel, you're not supposed to, that kind of thing. But like, white people, for real, when they got it together, so to speak, and notice I'm doing the air quotes, because just because you went to Harvard or Yale does not mean you have it together. But when they went to Harvard or Yale, they have no qualms about saying, like, I went to Harvard. Or they have no qualms about talking about back when I was in college, or wearing the shirt, or, the car emblazoned with the, the sticker, or if it's with the license plate or whatever. And so why should I shrink myself? Yeah, I went to Michigan too. Yeah, I'm an alpha. Yeah, I got to pee. Like, why should I shrink myself? They ain't shrinking themselves.
Yeah. And we do that all the time. I mean, all the time. It's crazy because, like, for me, even being an entrepreneur, like making my own money, again, I think I talked to you about it, like it's tough for me to want to go back home to where there's not much growth. Like for the most part, everybody's the same. Everybody's carbon copies of each other. And it's not that they don't want to see people make it out or do better. It's just that that's just not the culture. Like, the culture isn't to openly explain that you want to see people make it out, make it and do better. And so when you come back, or you're talking about the things that you've done, a lot of times you could feel really pushed down into a box because people won't accept it, which in turn, whenever you're actually building things up, like, I want to be able to go back home and be proud of what I've done. And if I can't do that, if I can't be proud of what I've done, probably not going to have the confidence to do what I am doing.
Right.
Yes, that's I love that you were able to kind of piece that together. So, do you have any kind of like real life examples of other people that you've come across in the fitness industry outside, or that have other skills outside of fitness industry, and like how they are maximizing what they do?
So there are guys who I follow on Instagram who, it's funny, I used to watch Wendy Williams with my my wife. I was not a fan of Wendy Williams. My wife was a fan of Wendy Williams.
I don't think we're ever fans. I just think that we see humor in certain pieces.
Yeah, for sure. And so, I would be watching, what my wife was watching on TV, and she does the same with me, watches things that I'm interested in. But Wendy Williams would always talk about people being friends in her head. So not people who she knows, but people who she sees them and she's like, that's a friend to me in my head. And so I see guys who I follow on Instagram who they are friends in my head. You know what I mean? Like, there's this guy, I'm forgetting his name, but he is, I think he's like a nurse practitioner, full time, and then also does some work with like fitness training and coaching. And he's also a bodybuilder, and he has won the Yorton Cup, which is in the organization that I do bodybuilding in, is the pinnacle. It is the highest achievement a person can win, and he's won the Yorton Cup twice. And he started his bodybuilding around the same age that I did. I think he said he started at 42 or something like that. And he was a guy who I would say we had similar body types when we were heavier. But and he's a father, you know what I'm saying? Like a professional, he's a husband. And I'm like, man, this is like, I want to be this guy in terms of, like his body. And so he's obviously intelligent. He has, a doctorate in nursing, you know what I'm saying? Or, I have seen other people do it. And so if he's doing it, why can't I? Like, I even messaged him one time, man. And for him to respond, like, I kind of got, what is it when you reach out to celebrities, or what is it?
Starstruck.
Or, I got starstruck that he actually responded to my message, man. And I was like, dang, man, I'm like, the next time I'm in North Carolina, I want to like email him, but I don't want to come across crazy.
No, I get that too because so I obviously I was in the Marine Corps and now, well, not right now, not as much, but I'm also a huge streamer, video gamer, and things like that as well. Love it. And there's this gentleman that I follow on LinkedIn, and he was in the Air Force, but he worked. Jesus, I hate that they got laid off, but he worked at Activision Blizzard, top pinnacle company for gaming development in the world, right? And one day I was like, I would love to connect with him because I know he has a lot of connections to other veterans and also to other game developers and things like that. And I could potentially get some different gaming things, and we could that kind of stuff. So I just messaged him, not really expecting him to respond. He responded back pretty quickly, and I was like, "It's Activision," And so I had that story that moment. But okay, so for you, I'm sure that you've had a lot of challenges both in your professional and your physical life, your fitness life, both journeys. But how has the challenges that you've had? Okay, well, how has your fitness achievements been able to be used as motivation for like your professional career, your professional challenges?
Yeah, that things definitely don't happen overnight. You know what I mean? So there are times when I look at myself and I cannot see any change in my body. With my trainer, I check in every week. I mean, text him my weight 3 times a week, and then I send him a photo once a week on Saturdays. And so from this Saturday to next Saturday, I never see a change, right? But when I look back from like 6 Saturdays ago or 10 Saturdays ago, I can see the change. And to know that you may not notice every incremental step, right? Or as they say, like every, raindrop or whatever, but when it turns into a puddle, when it turns into, what I'm saying, like a pond, when it turns into a lake, to notice that things don't happen overnight and that you have to stay the course. I don't lose weight well, I'm at the point now where generally I lose weight every single week. But there are times where, I didn't lose weight for, 2 or 3 weeks. But to know, like, what, stick with the plan. Like I've been continuing to work out and I've lost weight. But what has happened is my body might be retaining water if it is that I had, like a heavy week with salt, or if it is that I traveled by flight, and sometimes that makes the body retain water, or if you, don't get good quality sleep, or just if your body just wants to do whatever your body wants to do. And so the scale may not change, but then like 2 weeks later, I'll see a really big drop of like 5 pounds when normally I will drop like 1.5 to 2 pounds. And then I'll see a drop of 5 or 6 pounds and see like, you got to stick with the plan, even when you don't see it working. And that's kind of how it is professionally. Like continue doing the right thing, even if you don't always see it working, because in the end, you'll see like, that's why that didn't happen. There's times I apply for jobs and, I get frustrated that I didn't get the job. And then now I look back 5 years later to I see why I didn't get that job.
Ooh, wow. Wow. And so for the first tip for this week, kind of going on those things, what are some of the ways that people can work on building confidence this week?
Yeah, just really believing in yourself, which is easier said than done. So I think sometimes you have to just kind of go ahead and make an action step. I mean, you kind of just got to go ahead and do it. So if that is like, I've always wanted to, wear a different hairstyle or whatever, you can't wait until the right time. Just go ahead and do it. You know what I mean? If it is try out a new pair of glasses, like just go ahead and do it. You know what I'm saying? If it is, some people are really intimidated by going to the gym, so they say like, no, I'm gonna wait until I do get down to this weight, or wait until I have these clothes or whatever. Like, just go ahead and do it. Like sometimes we need someone to like push us into the water to make us swim. And that person has to be yourself.
Right.
Ask that person out, you know what I'm saying? Apply for that job, like whatever it is, push yourself in.
I have one of my business leaders. He has a saying: 3, 2, 1, go. And obviously, just based on what you just said, you kind of understand exactly what that is. But if you, just for anyone who's trying to build confidence this week, that is something that you should be in your mind thinking and telling yourself all the time. Like, okay, I got to do this, or I don't want to do that, or I'm afraid to, whatever it is. 3, 2, 1, go. Just do it. All right. I think that's a really great step. I would say also being able to like have a clear image of what success is for you will help out too. And so I think I would say like actually sitting down and writing out, drawing out, maybe build a vision board of something, especially like in the fitness world too. It's easy to like just draw or visually what you want to see, what you want to look like. It's easy to like kind of say what the success would be for like numbers and Y's and things like that. Professional careers are a little bit different because professional careers, especially like where you're an educator, a lot of the reasons you're educating is for the development of other people. Right. And so kind of visualizing the success there has to be centered around other people. But I think visualizing it is so key for people this week to practice, because if they visualize success, they can visualize themselves getting there. And if they can visualize themselves getting there, the only difference is the actions that they're going to do.
Yeah.
Visualize the success, visualize themselves getting there, who they become and what they do. And they start to do those things much more confidently. Like if they are afraid to just go to the gym. You know, can I actually sit down and write down, I want to lose 50 pounds, you know, over the next 2 years or something like that, right? And that will be successful. And like actually think about it, you know, ponder on it, meditate on it. Things like that will ultimately help whenever you do find 3, 2, 1, go. You'll have a little bit more confidence to be able to just step into the gym. You know, what things do you, anything else that you would kind of suggest?
Let's see. It's funny, there was something on the tip of my tongue and I didn't want to interrupt you. I wish I had written it down. And I can't remember what it was.
Wow. That sucks.
Sorry.
I have everything written down.
I know. Oh, yeah.
It was about visualizing success, having a mental image, basically.
That's what I was going to say. Yes, I was going to kind of piggyback on what you were saying. So it's not a completely new idea, but it is sort of an addition to what you were saying. But I think a lot of times, especially in the wellness and fitness coaching, what I try to do with my clients is show them the things that they have done, because when you show them the things they've done, it gives them hope that they can do other things. And so if I took that again and, you know, applied it to my life, I was more confident in my first show than I thought I would be, my first bodybuilding show. But I'm even more confident going into, well, I had a second one. My second one, I didn't do well because I had gotten sick and couldn't train for the month before, but because I had already paid for the bodybuilding show, I was going to still compete.
Yeah.
But so I don't really count that one. It was a show I didn't do well, but I was not confident going into that one. But my first show, I was confident. This one, I'm even more confident going into because I saw what I did in the last show. I saw how much weight I dropped. And so if I knew how much weight I dropped, or if I know how much weight I dropped, I know that I can continue to drop weight, right? So my first goal was to go from, I think I went from 217 pounds in January to 180 pounds in May. And when we started planning, when I say we, my trainer and I started planning in January, the goal was to get to 175 or 180. And so I hit that goal. I promise you, man, I hit that goal on the morning of the competition, the 180. The day before, I was still not 180. I woke up that morning, man, at 6 a.m. I weighed myself and I sent the text to my trainer and said, man, I hit 180 on that morning. And so if I drop from 216 to 180, and the goal for this competition is to be 170. And so if I did it before, why can't I do it again, right? I think looking at your past successes gives you hope for your future successes. But you got to make that step to start achieving that first success so you can use that as history to predict your next success. But you got to make
get
that
them
step.
wins.
You got to make that step.
Let's go. Get them wins. Exactly. Those little small wins are very key. And you can't forget a lot of people, they don't appreciate them like they should. But
right. And I am
definitely
today. I was gonna say today I am where I was for my first competition, and I still have 9 weeks left to prepare. So if I got 9 weeks, I know I can better myself. I just got to stay the course.
Your first competition was how long ago?
Last May. So what was that, about
Last
10
May.
months ago?
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow, man. And so for that's awesome, because I know one key thing to taking control of your life is actually having the confidence to be able to do it, right? And all of the things that we just talked about is going to be very key.